Hey guys, what's going on? Eric here, bringing you guys some more D2 content. Today we're going over how to improve your trading experience on Diablo 2 Resurrected. As you can see, I broke this down into 10 individual sections. I'm going to have timestamps in the description as well as probably the pinned comment. So at any given time, you can jump around as needed. Also, I'm not going to touch on every single bullet point in the video, so at any given time, you can pause the video and read a little bit more in depth. Also, certain sections are going to have links in the descriptions for even more detailed of breakdown. So that being said, let's get started. These are the most common definitions you're going to need to discern these game name examples. What I use the most is O burr in torch. That means you are offering a burr and you need a torch. The shorthand version of that is burr for torch. If you're going to use that method, you want to list what you're trading first. So I'm trading my burr and I need someone else's torch. Other common things you'll see is the usage of the word script or descript, R, read. That means that somebody made a game and they weren't able to fit what they wanted all inside that trade field. So if you click on that game without joining it, off to the side there should be a little bit more detailed of a description of the trade that person's trying to make. Also, some other really common things you'll see are the usage of E or Eth for ethereal. That means the item is Eth. And then also OS would describe how many sockets an item has. So if you need a 4-socketed Eth Archon, you would say N for OS E Archon. Moving on to the trade lingo. I use these every now and then. I would say the most common usage, I might say CO or bin. So if somebody's offering on a really expensive item and you don't want to trade right away, you'll say there's a current offer of something. If somebody wants to buy that now, like what do you need to have them take it off your hands, you would say the bin price is the buy it now price. I don't really utilize willing to buy or willing to sell or willing to trade. I feel like that's just kind of convoluted and just, I don't know, it sounds weird. And then finally, if somebody says offer, that means they don't know the price of the item, or they're trying to screw you and get more than the item is worth. So try your best not to use that word in general. Moving on to messaging, this is how you would contact somebody. One of the most common things that I love is the utilization of the reply back feature. If you're in a negotiation with somebody and they just messaged you, if you hit /R and then type your message, it should reply back to the person you were just in contact with. That way, if it's somebody that's not on your friends list and you don't want to have to retype out their account name, especially if it's like a really long, shitty name, you can just do that /R. And then let's say you messaged somebody and they were just joining a game. So they saw a flicker of a message and they reply back and they say, hey, sorry, I missed that. Instead of retyping that entire message out, you open up your chat field and then you hit the upper arrow and it should repopulate with that previous message you just sent. If you're trying to locate somebody for a trade, you want to see if they're online, you can use that who is feature. That one's great as well. It'll also tell you what game name they're in, unless they're hidden. I forget the feature they utilize to hide their location. Also, I haven't confirmed this. I saw it in a Sweet Phil video. I saw it in like a Blizzard forum chat, but apparently you're going to be able to link your items in chat going forward. Similar to the feature in Diablo 3, it looks like the hotkey is going to be shift-clicking the item with your trade, so your chat box open, and then you'll be able to link that and they'll be able to see a picture of your item. Moving on to screenshots, these are kind of utilized for, I guess, showing off your video items, utilizing third-party trade sites, or let's say you wanted to post it on Discord as well. If you are using dual monitors and you use the print screen button, that's going to capture everything. If you just want to capture what's on your active monitor, you would utilize that print or the alt print screen button. And then if you want to crop with your screenshot initially, use that Windows key Shift S. That one's probably the quickest, but if you're like me, I usually utilize that print screen button and then I like to crop it perfectly in Photoshop just so it looks nice and clean. In-game currency, this is very subjective. It fluctuates over time. But things that are going to be always useful are obviously runes, gems, and skulls. The lower gems like chipped and flawed, those are going to be utilized in upgrading your gems. I have a link in the description of all those recipes. Certain perfect gems are going to be more valuable based on what they can be crafted with as well. So one of the most common crafts and most popular crafts are caster amulets. Those utilize perfect amethysts. So those are going to be more valuable than like perfect emeralds. And then similarly, that recipe uses Rao runes. So Rao runes are probably going to be more expensive than Thol runes, even though they're both kind of low runes. But if you find yourself with 40 Rao runes or 40 P amethysts, that's usually when you can start to trade those for higher runes when you have them in bulk. If you're coming back in the day, the currency was like bulk 290s or 32020s or SOJs. That's not really a thing anymore. Obviously, you can trade for those when you get those, but I don't think anyone's trying to trade an item for 12 SOJs. It's just not. I don't know. It's not really straightforward. More often than not, that's not going to be a thing. Another thing that's kind of like currency, especially early on, is a really easily tradable item across multiple characters. So a lot of people use SOJs. A lot of people use BKs, Shakos, Arachnids, Wartravs. And then even though like an Oculus or an Aki is not utilized by a lot of characters, it's utilized by sorceresses, it's still really popular, and that should be easily tradable for a really long time into the season. Trade channels, I'm not really sure how these are going to be functioning on Resurrected, but if you are just trying to trade one thing for another, I have an example of how I like to list that trade. And then I have a short account name, and it's just really straightforward. So I like to list how they can contact me right away as opposed to reaching out to my individual character names. And then also, if you have multiple items that you're trying to sell at once, I like to list that item, put what I'm looking for in the parentheses, and then separate those with commas. If you're trying to trade like 20 items, what you can do is actually type out that list in the notepad off to the side, or tab out to that, and then you can split that up into individual sections to because there's going to be a character limit in trade channels. So you might type out 10 items, copy that, paste it in the chat, tab out, copy your other section, tab back in, and paste that, and that way you can get away with pasting 20 items that you're trying to trade. Price checking, very subjective. I don't really know how I'm going to talk through this section, to be honest. Basically, the main thing at the start, things are going to be overpriced. At the very start of a ladder, that's always the case. Usually they regulate, about a month, 3 to 4 weeks out, and then prices start to make sense again. So everyone's going to be trying to get a burr rune. That's always going to be very valuable. But in the very beginning, when people are trying to get enigmas, jaws, and burrs, they're just going to be crazy expensive. But eventually, an enigma is not going to be the most rare item in the game. So those prices will regulate over time. Again, if you need an enigma for your build, you're going to pay what you need to get that. So people are going to pay based on what they need. I would say hold on to certain very unique items until somebody can afford them. So if you find something that normally, let's say it's worth 3 burr runes, nobody's going to have 3 burr runes at the very start. So you can either hold on to that or try to get what you can for an upgrade to start, and then you can kind of snowball your progress. But sometimes it might be worth holding on to that till later in the season until somebody can afford that item. Consider the tradability of something. Like I said in the previous slide, SOJs, Arachnids, Wartravs, those are going to be utilized on multiple characters, so they're always going to be easily tradable compared to something unique like an Eret, so that's only going to be utilized on barbarians. I really recommend starting with the price, even if you don't necessarily know it. You can always start high and then go low if nobody's biting. If they think you're crazy for overpricing it, who cares? You'll move on to the next trade. Again, start high and you can always chip away, and then consider your time. So let's say you started high and you tried like 10 games as you're magic finding and refreshing the game, and nobody's biting. Just bring that down, and then don't really try to squeeze out one little bit of value. If you're trying to get 2 Vexes for an item and you end up settling for an Ohm and you miss out on that potential goal rune, don't worry about it. Consider your time, because the less time you're trying to trade that item, the more time you're spent leveling, having fun dueling, or magic finding. The other part of price checking is the detail of like niche items, like low-level dueling items. No one's really trying to low-level duel right off the rip. That's going to come weeks, months down the road. So hold on to those items. Don't sweat over the value of those right now. Other things like dueling items, so tri-res boots or really insane castrate rings, you might want to hold on to those again until that becomes a priority for people, because nobody is really trying to focus on dueling right away. They're going to be working on their PVM characters, magic finding, gearing up those characters for leveling first. Again, to bridge the gap of the learning curve, reference others. Go to the trade channels, see what people are trying to get for their items. Reference the game names. The more repetition you see the value of items, the more you'll learn. Also, take time to educate yourself. If you don't know the value of runes, you might want to look at the order of runes and what it takes, what recipes are required to upgrade those. And then you're going to want to look at certain rune words, which rune words utilize a burr rune. A lot of popular items use it, so that's why it's more valuable. So I would say just take the time to educate yourself with some of the links I'm going to have in the description. Moving on to etiquette, be straightforward. Offer what you think your item is worth. Ask for what you think it's worth. Don't say offer. It's a waste of everyone's time. Just try to set a price. And then if you guys are at a difference in price, let's say somebody lowballs you, don't be rude about it. Don't ghost them. Don't leave them hanging. Maybe they have more currency to offer you, and maybe they were just trying to get a deal, but you don't know unless you reply. You can say, no, thank you, sorry, looking for more, or you can counteroffer, but just don't waste their time and don't waste your time. When you complete a trade, these are the most common things I say. I'll say T4T, thanks for a trade. That's just good manners. And then before you guys leave the game, you can say good luck. That just creates a friendly atmosphere, which I just try to utilize every time I'm trading. Other fun hotkeys you can utilize, just squeak in there, my voice is dry. You can say this is for you with a number pad 2. On your number pad, you can say thanks with a number pad 3. Also, I think number pad 6 means die or time to die. You can utilize that too if you want, if they're a dick. Last, pay it forward, donate items. What I like to do is when I'm magic finding, I like to fill up my inventory with useful items that don't necessarily have value. I don't necessarily hold on to a Sigan set every single time I find a piece of that item. But, if I find silk weaves, which aren't an insane item, but they might be useful for somebody, I'll hold on to that. And then as soon as my inventory's full, I'll go into a free game and just drop that. And then usually people are really appreciative. Also, something that might lose value as the ladder goes on, review your mules. You might be holding on to something, think you're going to be able to trade it, but over time, nobody really wants it. Just clean out your mules and then donate those. Also, if you see a game where somebody's just asking for a random Thul rune, go in there and just give them a Thul rune every now and then. Or if they need a single gem, just give them those. If you don't need them, if you have, a mule with 40 Thul runes, just hook them up every now and just pay it forward. And then also, if you are in a trade channel and you know the value of of an item that somebody is trying to price check, offer them some of your advice. If you know the valuation of something, take the time and help them out every now and then. You don't have to sit there and reply to every single price check. I know that can get kind of annoying, but the sooner you reply to them, the sooner they can move on, learn something, and move on to their next trade. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, leave a comment. If you guys enjoyed the video or found it informative, leave a like. If you guys want to see more from me, subscribe to my channel. All right, bye.